producers tell me we've got some more questions. Let's dive in.
Okay, so question 1 is a video. Can you open your Slack, please?
Oh, it's Julie.
Hey Andy, Julie here. I have a question for you. What if you suspect that your champion is actually the competitor's champion?
Oh, what do you do if you suspect the person you thought was your champion is actually the champion of your competition? I think this one all comes down to vested interest, because if they're a true champion, then what they're looking for is the solution that can help them the most with their vested interest. They shouldn't be biased. They should be just looking for the best solution for them. So the only way to resolve that situation is to get into it and find what is their vested interest and find a way in which your solution better serves their vested interest, which doesn't just have to be the vested interest that you've already uncovered. There can be deeper vested interests, others that benefits and value that they haven't uncovered for themselves yet. So this is about getting back into discovery mode, getting back into working with this person to make sure you can align to whatever their vested interests are, and then presenting your solution as the one that helps them the most, getting towards whatever that goal is, overcoming whatever that challenge is. And of course, you have to do that with decision criteria. You have to lock in how your solution better solves for their vested interest with decision criteria, because otherwise, if your competition's got their head screwed on, just go and do what you've done to them back, and you end up with this sort of champion that keeps switching sides. So decision criteria is just as important as champion building in this one.
Okay, so question number 2 comes from Jeroen, and he asks, how do you see the value pyramid evolving in more complex, multi-stakeholder sales processes where goals and obstacles differ per persona?
Good question, Jeroen. Yeah. Well, the beauty of this is this is really where the value pyramid comes into its own, where you have more complexity, and the purpose of it really is to help you bring clarity to any complexity, because it's helping you connect, the obstacles that are in the way of stopping a person get all the way up from initiatives to strategies to achieving their goals. So the more people involved, the more complexity will be there, as your question suggests. The simple answer here is you have multiple value pyramids, and you make sure that you kind of make them, attached to particular stakeholders. You have those particular obstacles in the way and aligned to the initiatives that they're interested in. But yeah, it's a case of just breaking it down into multiple value periods. And when I say multiple value periods, I mean you have to have literally lots of pyramids. You can have one pyramid, but at the top you have the stakeholder. Vertically underneath that you have the goals that they care about, strategies, initiatives, and so on. Then you have another stakeholder, you have the same things. So as you are presenting this one value pyramid, but with several columns of different people's interests on it, every stakeholder that sees that can say, okay, well, this doesn't just solve my obstacles and support my initiatives and the strategies I'm working on towards the goals I have, but I can see my peers around me as well. So it really, if anything, it may add some complexity, but it's going to add power and weight to the value of your solution. So I'd say that is it's a way that the value pyramid is really going to come into its own. And by the way, if you're watching this and you don't know what a value pyramid is, we've made a value pyramid in 10 minutes. It'll probably be there or there, wherever these fine producers decide best looks next to my face, I suspect, right there. So you can click that, get a download of what exactly a value pyramid is in 10 minutes.
All right, so question 3, this is a subject I know you're quite passionate about. You've said many times that A players are uncomfortable being comfortable. I've got a great response here from Christian, who says, but are they also comfortable being uncomfortable, as in being comfortable of asking the supposedly uncomfortable next question when it comes to discovery?
A players are comfortable asking uncomfortable questions because they know that those uncomfortable questions lead to better answers in discovery, meaning the questions that are hard to ask, that sometimes force the customer to kind of live in that moment of pain, truly uncover implicated pain, which leads to more urgency, more emotion being tied to solving the problem, all that kind of stuff. So that's why asking those uncomfortable questions is a good thing. And A players are more comfortable asking those uncomfortable questions because by nature of being an A player, you're driven innately to constantly be the best version of yourself. And therefore, if you know there is a activity you can follow, in this case asking questions that are uncomfortable but lead to better outcomes, you persevere, you still power through. The only thing more uncomfortable to you than asking those uncomfortable questions is living with yourself, knowing that you didn't do the best job you could have done by asking those questions in the first place. So it's a great question. I like the way that they're thinking there as well. So yeah, short answer is yes.
All right, this next one goes to all the BDRs and SDRs out there. So Jay asks, how would you incorporate MEDDICC into the top of funnel qualification stage for a BDR or SDR team?
Oh, okay. Good question. That question specifically mentioned qualification, so I'll answer from a qualification perspective, but there is more to MEDDIC for SDRs than just qualification. So we like to break MEDDIC down, as you know, into 3 categories, 3 pillars of value, stakeholders, and process. And all 3 of those things matter to SDRs when qualifying in terms of, what pain are we solving for this customer, and what is the value in solving that pain, in terms of which stakeholders we engage with, and are they the right stakeholders, and who else needs to be involved in all that good stuff, as well as what is the process. Is this an inbound lead that we're qualifying? Is it an outbound, purely outbound? Is it nearbound? And how we will treat different opportunities and approach them differently from a MEDDPICC perspective as well, and think about which contacts we're looking to engage with as well. So it helps to become that common language to make sure that the SDR teams are focusing on the right elements of value, stakeholders, and process. But I would go further than qualification and say that it can be the tool that can inspire the SDR and BDR team to be able to contact the right people with the right message at the right time. And what I mean by that is how you can use the common language to bring pain that you think is going to be relevant to that customer, the metrics that you've seen your existing customers get from solving that pain. So you're starting to form this value story of, you, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, are like this organization who, when we first worked with them, had this pain, and we helped them solve that pain with this part of our solution, which led to this gain, and the delta between that pain and gain was this, which is metrics. Then you can start to talk about who was the champion in that opportunity. You're obviously not going to mention that customer, but you can talk about that persona of champion and how you help their vested interests. And all of this is to be done in your own voice, your own style. So I'm not sort of saying this is how you should script it, but see these as all sort of elements that you can bring into, whether it's a cold call, whether it's an email, whether it's talking to someone on a trade stand. All of a sudden, now you're empowered with this really clear, cohesive, clinical way of bringing value to the right stakeholders at the right point in the process.
So this final question is in response to a brilliant post that you did a while ago about feedback being like milk and how it's best when it's fresh. You gave a great example about how there was an instance in your career where you wish you'd given feedback a bit sooner. The question here from Rob is, when you think back, was the hesitation more about wanting the perfect delivery or the discomfort around how the feedback might land?
Oh, well, my brain straight away goes, say both, it'll save you from looking daft. But reality is that waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect delivery, the right amount of context, all that sort of stuff is exactly why we say feedback is like milk. It's best served fresh, because we always kid ourselves that we can find more context, find a better moment, especially when it's, in this case, as it was, sort of critical, constructive feedback. So no, it was very much me kind of being nervous to give that negative feedback. It was a lesson, a really big lesson. That saying came from my CEO coach, and it's so we've all got better from my terrible abilities to give feedback at the time. Okay, that's it. Thank you for all your questions. If you would like to get your question onto the show, then you know what to do. Hit the comments below, DM me on LinkedIn, send a carrier pigeon. I don't know if you can get a message through to me, we'll answer it.